I'm curious if they want Queen mid or off lane on Neon. Because last time they picked a Norman Lion, they picked Bat Rider at the end of the draft. Of the second phase, sorry.
Has Palace played it once, I think, as well, the Queen of Pain?
Potentially. I've seen quite a few teams putting Queen of Pain in the safe lane.
Jackie's done it once, I'm sure of that, but wasn't sure if Palace had done it as well. Wouldn't be too bad. So what do they want now on Neon? I mean, it's going to probably most likely be their support duo coming through here. So things that are good against the Bane and the Lion. Wouldn't hate to see a Q Rubik. I mean, I feel like he's
Puck is
pretty
literally
solid.
still in the pool, which is kind of weird. It's like really nice against Queen of Pain. It does like get caught out and die to Bane Lion. Obviously, they have like quite instant stuns against Puck, but at the same time, they suffer when you're jumping the backline with your silence. They don't really have a way to protect themselves.
We saw in the matchup earlier today, the Division 2 one between Nigma Galaxy C and Ragdoll, just the effectiveness of great supports, particularly with their positioning. And what was Nigma Galaxy C's undoing is they didn't have a real way to be able to get onto the likes of a Bane or a Lion or these styles of heroes. Like, you can use the Arena of Blood, sure, and that's good in the early game, but when it gets later and if you get something like an Aeon disc, then that initiation isn't quite as effective. So I wonder if they want to go something with this next support pick coming through for Neon, Motivate.Trust, that's going to fulfill that style of role in getting it onto the backlines and meaning that not everything is on the back of Masros in his initiation.
Yeah, I think Motivate.Trust has a very strong lineup right now. They have like really amazing team fight. They have lots of damage. They have Jesus Christ. God.
They've got a Brood
They
Mother.
ruined the draft. Okay.
We're seeing a Tide, and this is most likely going to be that mid Brood Mother as well, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't know why the picking Tide, not Tide, Brood. God, like Tide is so good. Tide is so good into Wraith King. Like in lane, it's really hard for Wraith King to touch him. When you're reducing all of his damage, you have like a Brood who also sucks into Tide. Like, oh man. Okay.
But they do have the Snapfire, right? Like, I feel like anytime the Brood Mother wants to go on her big pushing spree, once she gets, all of her spiderlings and that sort of thing, you got to have the Snapfire nearby so that Tide can't literally just stand in front of the tower and tank up all the damage. If you've got the Mortimer's Kisses and you've got a little bit of slow at least to get the initial globs onto the Tide Hunter, I feel like you're generally okay to put a lot of pressure onto him. And again, Queen of Pain doesn't go Orchid much these days anymore, and Bane and Lion probably aren't going to be in a position to interrupt those Mortimer's Kisses. So I feel like, regardless of who's playing it, whether it be Boomboy or Q, I feel like this Snapfire is going to be very key, at least to securing those first couple of towers.
Okay, alright. I've had a moment, I've calmed down.
Yep. Back on track.
Yep, all good. So what I do like a lot is you can ignore Tide, to be honest. If you can somehow bait out Ravage or like force him to TP somewhere, he's a very immobile offlaner. As a hero, he can't move quickly between lanes. So if you're able to kind of run him around a bit, force him to rotate, and then you go take a fight somewhere else, I think it should be really easy for you to take that sort of fight. I think Maz and Snap are very strong together. Wraith King as a body doesn't die easily. If they ever like try and dive these heroes as well, they can rotate pretty well. Brood is like overwhelming in supports.
I want to see... I was about to say a Disruptor, but they ended up banning it out just then. And a Death Prophet actually coming out here for Motivate. I was actually kind of considering, are OB.Neon going to go a Death Prophet? Because you're up against a lot of different strength heroes. You would get a lot of value out of that Spirit Siphon. And
A
there's
lot
not
of strength heroes? Like just one?
Huh?
Just
So
one
many.
No,
strength hero?
I said Neon might have picked it up because you're against Mars, Wraith King, Snapfire.
Yeah. What is available even? They can pick like I know Palos really enjoyed Naga against Beastmaster.
It was banned.
Oh, it was banned. Yeah, okay. Alright, well that's fine too. That's like TA's great hero against Brood. No, sorry, it's a great pick. Sorry. I like TA because it gives them Roshan ability, and it's something that can take towers. It's good to match up into Brood.
Bro, Tide tier gives you everything. Gives you Roche, gives you high ground, gives you team fight.
Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong with a Tide TA matchup?
You make it sound ominous, like
Yeah,
something bad's about to happen.
you would about to like curse them. I mean, like they definitely possibly couldn't lose this at all.
No, never. There's never been a tied TA in the history of esports that's ever failed.
Okay, so you're putting your job on the line again.
It sounds like a reference to something that I don't know.
TI9 Grand Finals.
TI9 Grand Finals.
Liquid kept picking it, bro.
Bro.
Into OG. And it kept losing. And they kept doing it.
Oh. I don't remember that far back.
You gotta re-watch these true sites. They're still really entertaining, even if you know exactly what's gonna happen. I still watch a lot of these
Don't make
highlights.
references to old games. You've made me look stupid,
Nah,
and
nah,
to
nah,
be
it's
fair,
fine.
I am stupid, so that's fair enough.
Dano just gets like sad at night, and he's just like, man, I need something comfort.
True
All right,
site.
time to rewatch TI9 Grand Final, just over and over again.
Oh.
But we don't need to reminisce on the past. Instead, we are going to jump into game number 2 with GoDz and John.
Let's go Neon!
Hello and welcome back. We've got game 2 with myself as well as johnxfire, and we've got Gotcha Boy Broodmother. What do you make of it, John?
You know, Gotcha Boy immediately reached out sometime earlier on asking about, hey, you know about this trick? And then it got patched in, so I'm keen to see how much Gotcha Boy can do with a Brood, because after that, he hasn't played in the pro game, at least as far as I've seen. He's played it a lot in his pub, so Parker. So he's played a lot. He's lost the last 3 games, but before that, he was on a streak with that Broodmother. So we'll see if it carries through. He's got that set. It's not, you know, it's a great looking set. It's a Black Widow, but, you know, you'd be happier with a red back. We don't have those, unfortunately. Only Australia gets to get that reference here, Parker. But we'll see. Ironically enough, Parker, Gotcha Boy's username right now is Arachnophobia. So it feels like he's had to deal with the Broodmother a couple of times himself. Now he's playing it. Keen to see how much Motivate.Trust can get out of this, because you look at their draft, their push potential's off the charts. Broodmother, Raid King, Death Prophet on support. Like, these towers should just melt from Neon's end. And Neon, they've got some answers for the Brood, some AoE in the form of the Quap, in the form of even the Tidehunter Ags build could work out as well. But we'll see, because I think if Gotcha Boy does manage to play this Brood to its max potential with that extreme micro and getting vision out, it could be really hard for Neon to just even find an angle here.
Well, bringing up the spiders in Australia, definitely appreciate our observer giving us the upside down Roshan view. Make me truly feel back at home, you know. You can take me out of Australia, but I like that. Dota brings me back there, you know. I'm glad we get some spiders in Dota. Definitely, you know, I've never been a big Brood player, but even going back to like the old Broods, the Invis ones that fly around, I've always loved watching Brood in competitive Dota because it just changes the dynamic of the game. The entire strategy often becomes built around Brood and countering this hero. It's, you know, changed over the years. It's not quite as much about this like crazy spiderling army as it perhaps used to be. With that now being the ultimate, unlike, you know, before it was like one of your starting spells and you get spiders right away, but it is still a hero that you have to address when it comes out in a draft, unlike, you know, probably 80 or 90% of heroes in Dota, when they get picked, you don't necessarily have to counter them. Brood doesn't fall into that category.
Yeah, definitely not. All chat is still... it's still something
still
here,
spicy.
you know. You gotta love it. And
Yep.
yeah, the 99's out. Yeah, from Jack Boys. Silicon Pride is what they call him. And for some reason, Armin replies with a 69, which is a nice number. Gotcha Boy just throwing us all out of the radar, you know, just speaking some Thai there. And I can't translate that, Gotcha Boy. I'm going to have to ask him afterwards what that's up. But you got to love it. You know, you were asking me in game 1, Parker, when Motivate.Trust kind of bring the all chat out. And I said, well, they're in a good mood. And that mood still remains. Same thing for Neon, though. You know, they're replying back. They're throwing their own banter in. So spirits are still high. And it should be. Going in to this make or break series for Neon, you've got to be able to reset between games. You've got to be able to get back an even level and come back and bring the fight back towards Motivate.Trust, even if you're a game down.
I got a question for you, John. We're looking at the Dota sky now. We're doing some cinematic stuff. Why isn't it sunny? Why is the Dota map cloudy? What's up with that?
Oh, that's actually interesting. That's just a source.
It's just cloudy permanently?
When you make a map in source. Yeah, when you make at the technical side at least, when you make a map, it will have to have a skybox. So it's there. It's
so
just
by
a technical
default,
thing.
skyboxes like they can't just be endless blueness. It needs clouds to have an endpoint.
They populated it. You could take it off. Like if you open up SFM, you can actually unload the skybox. It looks really weird.
I mean,
it's not a blue.
I see.
It's a weird thing. Yeah, it's
Like
it's a weird thing. Clear skies don't exist in Dota. It's always gloomy.
yeah.
It's always got something going on, you know.
It suits the player base. That's how we like it. Let's be real. None of us go outside and see the sun. Over here in LA, we haven't seen the sun in 8 weeks. We've been working from like midnight till 6 a.m. It's the hard life. I see my doctor and he's worried for me. My vitamin D deficiency.
You know, speaking of that kind of sleeping schedule, I tend to see the Motivate.Trust boys all the way up till 4 a.m. I mean, well, I'm not up till 4 a.m., but I see them like starting their streams at like 12 a.m. I know that's around when Fearless starts his stream. I tune in, and then I ask him the next day, because we do media day. I'm asking him, why the hell are you so late? Like, what time do you even sleep? 5 a.m.? He's like, yep, we sleep at 5 a.m. I'm like, jeez. And that's the entire team. It's not just Gotcha Boy streaming. It's like everyone else. In fact, it's all the Thai players, because Savage does the same thing on T1. He streams really late. And I'm like, do you all just stay up late? It's like, yep, we all stay up late so we can snipe each other's pubs. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I guess that's when they're not scrimming. Like, that's when they're off. Like, that's their off hours, so they get to stream a bit. Like, no scrims, no whatever other real life responsibilities, the dead of the night when you get to finally play some Dota. Although poor Dakota, who has to do all the content with those teams, he's trying to do it at like regular-ish NA hours. He's like, yeah, you guys can wake up at like, noon. Noon sounds like a reasonable time. That's like, 10 p.m. here in LA. Like, how does that sound as a compromise? And like the players are just like, noon is too early. Like, come on. That's not okay. How dare you ask players to show up at noon? How disrespectful.
Asking a gamer to be up before lunch. That's impossible. Especially these guys. These guys are just so hardcore. Yeah. It's just it's a way of life, Parker. Although you and I, we're probably getting a bit too old for that.
It's way of life. It's become life. I've spent more than half my life playing and watching and following Dota now.
It's kind of ridiculous to think about. Right?
Yeah.
So much for lives.
And we saw, I think there was a Reddit post the other week about Miracle on Enigma Galaxy SEA, how many, like 45,000 hours in Dota or something. Probably a lot of that AFK, but it's still a lot of Dota for some of these players who've been around for the entire duration of the Dota lifespan since TI1 for many of these players. Some going back to Dota 1 itself.
Oh, a lot of the Southeast Asian pros, like especially the Filipino players. I mean, a lot of them cut classes to play Dota way back in the day. Like they didn't even stick around for school. They just go to the cafe, pop up WC tree, launch Dota 2, and just shit talk everyone in the game. That's a tradition. Yeah, that's the old tradition.
That was always because I started getting to casting like around like the end of the Dota 1. It was always one of my favorite parts coming out of the Philippines. Is that the LAN cafe culture, and everyone just. As soon as there's like a Dota game going, everyone's always like, seeing behind the players. Sometimes they do the tournaments in the LAN cafes, and the atmosphere is just amazing. They're like trash talking each other, building up huge crowds around them. Everyone, they're like the top players. They were all like huge celebrities. I mean, they still are.
Oh yeah, I miss those times. What we aren't going to be missing, GoDz, is a game, because the unpause is here. Action is back in. The smoke out from Motivate.Trust broken. Boom Boy runs up the ramp, so at the very least they're not going to lose a war this time around on Motivate.Trust side, but let's see if they commit for a skirmish. They're still kind of clumped around, but not really in position to kind of take control over an area here.
Yep. See whether or not they've got the tools to play against this Brood. I've seen this TA mid against Brood, I want to say at least once, maybe even a couple of times, and it's done okay. Like just with the side blades alone, and like the decent base armor of a TA, particularly when you're playing around your tower, it feels like the TA can hold her own, at least early on against Brood.
Yeah, it's not quite clear-cut for a Brood. You can't really melt through her refraction, so as levels go up there, it's pretty hard for Gotcha Boy to clear out. He can, however, at the very least, play with the Silken Bola. The mischance is going to mess over TA quite badly. The spam ability of that spell is the one issue. If you leave a value point, 24-second cooldown is pretty darn long. So downtime is pretty big. There's a big window there for Mamangdai to play that lane. And we'll have to see how he holds up. I don't think this is going to go too badly for either side. It really just depends on those level spikes and how much you really commit from your supports to secure runes. I think that's also going to set the tempo, especially for Gotcha Boy to keep that spell spam up.
Well, I hope viewers don't have arachnophobia, because Gotcha Boy with this This is the more realistic Spider compared to what I'm used to seeing the Brood, and he's definitely going to be scaring Mamang Daya early on. But Mamang Daya happy to go toe-to-toe with those early melds, just trying to get up in his face. We saw last game the solo kill. I don't know if that's going to be repeated here. I would highly doubt it, but it's, you know, it does feel like Mamang Daya has that kind of outplay potential in this mid lane.
Yeah, he can really just spam out that meld way more often than even the insatiable hunger can come out. There's still a lot of regen for Gotcha under the web, so he's not too bad off now, but you still have to respect the output of the Broodmother as well. If she does gap close, right-click through, Mamang Daya doesn't have that same sustain. So if it comes down to sustain war, Mamang Daya is going to be burning through those early tangos much faster, and he's going to need that quicker bottle to maintain control here.
We'll see these early lanes develop. If this mid lane ever does get rough, one of the hero that they're going to be looking to utilize to kind of defend against this very early mid-game push is going to be this Tide Hunter. If he has a good lane, and Onryu tanks up, they can just plop this Tide in front of towers to try and keep it alive, particularly against the Spiderlings. This Tide can be very effective.
Yeah, they've got great defense potential coming out from Onryu there, and even the lane matchup is pretty good as well. Jack Boyce is playing his Wraith King, signature hero, but up against a Tide, it can get a bit dicey. You know, Anchor Smash is always going to be a factor. You can't completely zone out Tide, so you can expect Onryu to still get a little bit of farm going his way. But with the support of Boomboy, trading with the opposing support is a bit tough. He can run up, just Spirit Siphon out. Onryu is going to be very vulnerable to that. It's down to Norman to get the right angles for a good Earth Spike to cut that movement off and try to get that zoning effect in just to prevent any aggression from Motivate.Trust, because they can be really aggressive. Just one stun, a good Spirit Siphon to follow, and you might have enough to kill off a Tide, especially while that Kraken Shell stays at level 1.
Yeah. The nice thing they did at the start was pull that wave back to their tower, so a lot of the strength of that Death Prophet Wraith King is the chase potential with Spirit Siphon, which is where you want that wave kind of pulled pretty far back, so you can get the Spirit Siphon and really chase him down without the tower being there. So we'll see Motivate.Trust, though, now get the wave back where they'd prefer it and continue to kind of apply that pressure. But Tide happily soaking it up. He's sitting on the top of the CS charts early on with 15 last hits, but all Dire Core's doing just fine. It's actually the TA and the Quap who are maybe struggling a little bit. Safe lane Queen of Pain, something we haven't touched too much upon. We see this every now and then, like these side lane Quaps, and I just never really feel like the hero has the same impact out of these side lanes compared to the mid lane.
Yeah, it has a very specific timing as a hero, and I feel like the side lanes, you know, you do get a little bit more farm. You might be able to find something earlier, but it feels like the Quap, the most important thing is really momentum control, right? Taking control of runes early on in the game, getting an early level spike, playing with the early sonic wave. You can still do that here, but you do lack that control onto the mid, you know, dictating the game from there. And I think in the lane matchup, it is pretty good here. Palos isn't really struggling up against Masa's Mars, but Masa is getting a lot more out from the lane. And they've still got that strong combination with Snapfire and Mars as well. They can play with a cookie into Spear, lots of control, and Abin can try to cut that off. He does have Nightmare ready to save, but it's kind of running low on mana, and trading with these heroes is fairly tough. They're both relatively tanky. Even a Snapfire can kind of trade blows just fine, so it is leading to this slower pace on the safe lane for Neon, and if this maintains, Palos is just going to fall further and further behind in that Quap.
Yep. Down at bottom, they've maybe found an opening to go on this Bang Bang, but he does get pushed away, and he'll survive through it, but he gets brought down pretty low. We'll be forced to pop that salve. So this bottom lane looking really good for the Mavs. All three lanes going well for the Dire. At least some small leads in each and every lane. Top three when it comes to the CS in the early game. And this is kind of before some of these, you know, potential power spikes that can come, like Brood hitting level 6 with the Spiderlings. That's where the Brood really accelerates in terms of farm.
Yeah, and I'm still keen to see again what Gotcha Boy does with those Broodlings. Will he be trying to micro them to get some vision out, control the map that way? They are still trying to set up bot here. You are seeing that Q and Master are still trying to play aggressive with that Cookie and Spear combo, but it's at the point where, you know, Palos, he's just pocketing his skill points. You know, stuck at level 2 Shadow Strike, not going for Blink, not going for Scream, looking to see what he can get away with. But that caution is hurting his farm a bit. So I think at some point he's got to make that choice, or whether or not he's going to go for farm or he's going to go for protection with Blink, because he can't afford to play with just 2 skill points in lane for that long.
Yeah. If anything, it's a sign that, you know, none of these other skills are that useful right now. Like using Scream is not very mana efficient. He just wants to use Shadow Strike, but that's a worrying sign. He's getting jumped on bottom. The cookie into spear, and they get first blood with the level 2 Lil Shredder, amping up the damage for a God's Rebuke. That was really well executed to kill a Queen of Pain there.
Yeah, great patience, great lining up the spells, Motivate.Trust. Again, understanding that this lane they have on bot is really strong, and as you pointed out, Porker, every lane is actually going really well for them. They're slowing down Palos. Now, mind you, the Quap isn't the big win conditions, you wouldn't mind too much. They isolate Masa a bit, but do they really have enough to kill off Amaris?
Not sure they're going to have the damage for this one. Q backing him up. He's getting low here. One last God's Rebuke won't be enough to keep him alive, so they do end up getting the kill, and they make it Q as well. He cookies back a little bit further to safety. His boots are right, but they come into the backpack, so Q doesn't get that movement speed that he perhaps needed. May have died either way. Palos, he gives up first blood, but he instantly comes back to lane and gets 2 kills for himself.
Big turnaround there for the side of Neon. So evening out the lane status, giving Palos a little bit more to play with, and does get a nice level spike from that as well. A full level above Masa, halfway to 6. Masa still halfway to 5. They did drop a kill up top. They did manage to find Narman there. A kill going the way side of Motivate.Trust, which is nice to pick up, especially for Jack Boys. But
what a rotation. The cookie with the Lil Shredder. This TA was actually like even with this Brood in terms of farm, and that Snapfire comes in. They're not done. This time around, it's OB.Neon finding a kill underneath this bottom tier 1 tower. So fighting around the Queen of Pain, I like this because Queen of Pain is such a, kill-thirsty hero. She doesn't want to just passively farm the safe lane. They want to go for these kills wherever the Queen of Pain is.
Yep, you've got to make something happen, but you're making big sacrifices. You're building up in your Quap with this momentum, but your TA is getting hit. And now, in comparison to Game 1, Motivate.Trust has taken over that triangle area. Stealing some of those stacks, they can clear it out very fast with Gotcha Boy. This is when the Brood really kicks in, as you mentioned, Parker. When they've got the Spiderlings up, you can really just jump on anyone, find all the camps you want, keep that farm build up, and start to drag some attention away from the side lane. So not quite getting the attention yet, but eventually, once Gotcha Boy is set, forcing a play down mid, taking over the jungle, someone's got to respond to that. Someone's got to stop this Brood Mother from just consuming everything on the map, and that will open up space for Jack Boys to build up, although he's being chased down here.
Yeah, getting brought very low. Does have the reincarnation, so he was never in any real danger of, actually dying, but he could have perhaps had his reincarnation get procced.
Yeah.
Mid lane, another gank attempt. Another cookie in, but Mamangdai got off the meld. Looks like he was out of sentry range there, so they couldn't actually follow it up with any damage, so Mamangdai are learning his lesson from the last gank that came his way.
Just being a lot safer. I don't think Gotcha Boy really needs to control that lane all too much. He can shove it out, go into the jungle as he has been doing, and just keep building up. His Orchid isn't too far off, and that's a worrying sign. Once that's up, that's when the Broodmother can really just run you down with these ganks. Rotation top, though.
Oh, the Nightmare dodge was nice, and he may actually survive. That was sick. He dodges the cookie with the Nightmare and then just TPs out afterwards.
Wasting a bit of that time from Motivate.Trust. Yeah. Not enough to turn around with Enryu, though. He is level 7, holding the value point on his Ravage. Can pop it when he wants to, but there's no opportunity to play off the back of it. And I think both sides are kind of doing the same thing, sacking their offlaners a bit.
Wrap around from the Lion. They want to kill off Masa. He's already got a hood, though. I don't know if they've got the damage to kill him, but the Sonic Wave, that should be enough. Arena comes out with a spear. The Lion going to be brought low, and Masa with that hood, he survived through it, using that barrier to block the magic damage, stop the Shadow Strike from ticking him over. That's a big 2-minute cooldown on the Sonic Wave that they're going to have to wait for now without getting the kill.
And that's massive. Just forcing that movement out down bot, punishing the Lion, slowing down his level 6 time by finding that kill. They do manage to find Boom Boy in exchange, playing in the triangle. And that does kind of cut off Gotcha Boy in that invasion, but overall, you're still really happy here on the side of Motivate.Trust. Like, the focus isn't coming out onto your Raid King while he's vulnerable. You are still getting a little bit more on your Morris Palos. Drop him low.
Does get out of there for now. Has Narman to help back him up and keep Q at bay. Q's Snapfire. I gotta say, as far as players that have stood out to me so far, he's just been everywhere. He's helped the bottom lane. He rotated mid to get the Brooder kill, and then he was in the top lane getting his team kills. So we're seeing a very active Snapfire, and this is with this little Shredder build. He now hits level 6 as well, so Mortimer's Kiss is going to be coming into play. It seems like Motivate.Trust have their eyes on this mid lane. If they can take this tier 1 mid tower early, this game can very quickly open up for them.
You find a simple kill, once again on the back of Q, having that high level of little shredder, while still pressuring mid. Like, the way Motivate.Trust is playing is really just maximizing on the threat of the Broodmother. Because the mid is pinning down the jungle a fair bit, preventing rotations, easy rotations out from Neon, and forcing them to just directly TP into lanes, and cutting off some angles for them to get some wraparounds. And they're actually not responding to that mid in time. That tower's just going to fall.
Yep. Spiderlings finished it off. Gotcha Boy gets the money for it. And Mamangdaya needs to be careful. Cookie in just off the mark. If that had hit him, the Mortimer's Kisses follow-up may have been a kill on Mamangdaya. I like the attempt from Q, even if the execution was just slightly off. Yeah. Almost gets on Ryu, but he may have overextended here. The TP's coming in, and he's got no backup. He may have reincarnation, but they're going to just go for the double kill here. Fiend's Grip is there, waiting and ready. Norman is Finger of Death as well if they need it. And I believe they will, in fact, need this one. Ravage being used. They commit all 3 ultimates. I'm surprised they ravaged that. Maybe just feeling like they want to play it safe, but none of Motivate.Trust were coming to help him out.
No, I don't think they mind too much. They already got mid. They're going to take bot off the back of that movement. So they've opened up the map here for Brute to just invade that bottom jungle like the pesky spider she is. Just get the infestation going, cut off the farm from the side of Neon. Neon will look to get a push of their own up top, but their pushing process is a lot slower than Motivate.Trust this time around. They don't have that Deso timing yet on Mamangdaya, so they can't rely on the TA to show up to get some minus armor going as well. And that's just going to slow down their progression on clearing up the map. Jackboys just shows back up top. Even with that previous rotation, he's just fine holding this lane.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, yeah, like you say, they're not even going to be able to get this tier 1 tower. He has to be a little bit careful. He already lost his ultimate, so he's maybe hoping that his teammates can bail him out should anything come his way. Jackboys finds a way to chew his way out of the trees and make a great escape, so no ultimates on the OB.Neon side. We'll have to see if Motivate.Trust have any intent on defending the top tier 1. It seems like they'd rather just pressure tier 2s. If they can take like a tier 2 bottom early on, that would be huge for them, and they'll happily give up that top side of the map to OB.Neon.
Yep. Just let it go. Jackboys is still protected by a good ward watching his jungle entrance anyway, so he can keep playing in that jungle, still try to build up on that Wraith King while still applying pressure across the map. Like, this is just forcing so much movement out from Neon. You're not just easily farming up in Palace. You are getting space out from Mamangdaya. It's all in on the TA to ride through this timing, though.
Palace bottom, being chased down by the Brood, who does have an Orchid. Gets him with the Silken Bowler for the slow as well. This is just too much for Palos. That's the OB.Neon carry, and he needs an answer to this Orchid. ASAP.
It's still a long ways off here, Parker. He's going for the Sanj and Kaya. So some stat resist dropping that Orchid time just a little bit lower, but no hard thing to really break that off, and that's going to make it tough. They are rotating in for the defense. Numbers to bear, but no Ravage just yet. Finger and Grip are going to be up, though.
Arena off the mark. He thought he had somebody in those trees, but the tide was out, and now the chase is on. Ravage coming up in 8 seconds time. Finger of Death in 15. All these ultimates for OB.Neon will be online fairly soon here as the Death Prophet just going to run in. Boombell throwing away his life just to ensure his teammates can make it out unscathed.
Yep. Playing tag with a Broodmother just a bit on the edge there as well. They do manage to successfully defend bot tier 2. Doesn't take too much damage. And now they're going to try to swing around from mid. Mamangdaya, Desolator just lacking one mithril hammer. So this is a pretty good point to maybe start to force that issue on mid. They know there's no arena to defend as well. And Masa?
Yeah, just walks in and gets gripped. Once again, just willing to throw all these ultimates to get a kill. Before it was the Wraith King, this time around they get a Mars. They may just have to get out now. They have a Ravage, but Tide's not there. They're not going to be able to get this tier 1 tower there, but they're happy to use these support ultimates just to get themselves some kills. They need to claw their way back in this goal. They're being heavily outfarmed, and getting these pickoffs is a great way to go about it.
And you have Mamangdaya around to soak through that kill as well. So just helping him rush through that timing for the Deso, helping the TA hit the big item spike it needs to be a big force on the map. Not quite at that point yet. For the side of Motivate.Trust, though, like, that is still space that Jackboys manages to use to farm as well. Blink already up along with the armor. Wraith King can just jump on top, take control of these fights, start these fights if the arena isn't up, and just get running from there. Gotcha Boy rushing into the Guardian Greaves next, having that sustain for the Spiralings, having additional tankiness for them as well, will make it a lot harder to burst them down, and that's going to be a key part. Like, they are relying on Enryu to kind of drop it low a bit, but with a sustain you can get out from the Guardian Greaves, it's going to be a little bit tougher to instantly melt the little spiders on this game.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to go for an Ag Scepter after this Hood just for some more AoE damage. Having that AoE Gush plus Anchor Smash probably gives him enough to kill off these Spiderlings, but even that may be put to the test a bit. As it stands, OB.Neon going to be forced just to kind of play reactionary Dota. They're sitting back, they're farming. The TA has the Desolator coming out, but it's not going to be easy for them to go for something like Roshan. Also, really good use of these Spiderlings, blocking all of these Radiant neutral camps from spawning. He blocked two of the 3 camps in the triangle. The only one that spawned was the little camp, so he blocked the Ancients and the big one, taking away much needed farm for OB.Neon, who are going to get jumped on the Bane. Tide rotates in, throws out a Ravage. It only catches the 1 support here. They want more. They really need more, and if they can get Jackie, that's going to be a huge kill for them. Buyback on the Death Prophet, but where can he TP to? The tier 1 mid is where he wants to go to. The Sonic Wave's going to follow up the Reincarnation respawn. Nice Arena going to help bail Jackie out. That traps all of them inside, and with the kisses to follow this one up, Mamangdai, he's melting. They've overcommitted and overstayed their welcome, going for that double kill onto the Jackie Wraith King. They just didn't have the quick damage to get it and get in and get out. And with 4 heroes going down, that sets up Motivate.Trust to go for a Roshan.
They've still got Exo running for a little bit longer. They don't have their own Desolator, but the damage is coming through. And Gotcha showing up as well. It's such a great fight coming out from Motivate.Trust, seeing that opportunity, allowing Jack Boys to be the bait up front, knowing that it would take a lot of effort to kill off his 2 lives. And the buyback commitment from Boomboy, realizing, you know, he still has Exo, he can still show up, he's got the mid-tier 1 to TP into. It doesn't take too long to cut across that river and just apply that damage. OB.Neon just looking to really play fast, counteracting the movement from Motivate.Trust. They do have some early tools to use, but as you mentioned, Parker, it feels like they need a little bit more. That Ag's timing on Enryu is going to be a good point, but that's more of a defensive aspect. Like, the minus armor coming out in multiple heroes is great, though, especially for a TA. It's that TA Tide combination, but you need some protection. You need some items to counteract the Orchid. You need to be able to not get chain stunned in Arena, because once you do, it's easy to burst you down.
A hero that doesn't get chain stun is the Tide, but even without the chain stuns, they can just chase him down with the body blocks, the slows. Kraken or no Kraken, Tide can't survive his way through that one.
Yeah, just nice running down. Nice spear back, really, from Masa to kind of increase that gap and allowed him to just melt through the Tide. The side of Neon are trying to work the map a bit wider. Like, they know they don't have Ravage, so they don't need Enryu around. They're trying to work the bot lane a bit, getting some farm, getting some space out for themselves. Jack Boys is around to kind of watch. Can't really force this fight by himself, but Reincarnation will be back up. If they want him to get the defense in, they can TP out and help Jack Boys if they feel like they need to.
Yeah, for now, Motivate.Trust playing all 3 lanes. As a result, Jackie alone in the bottom lane will get gone on, but they throw out a Finger of Death just to get his first life here. I don't imagine they take his second, and it's going to be the Queen of Pain. Palos paying the price for this one, and once again, just to repeat, this is a safe lane pop. This is meant to be kind of one of their scaling carries. Of course, the TA mid is more like the true carry this game, but they can't afford this Queen of Pain to be having such a bad game.
Yeah, it's so far behind now. Like, Palos' farm is barely above Enryu's farm in the Tide. They're both behind the Mars. They're just not getting the space they need. They're giving all the space they can towards Mamangdaya. But a co-op without items just feels really slow. Kaya-san just up. Stat resist is great. It's just not enough. They will smoke the defend bot, though.
Yeah, here they come. Can Onryu get this good Ravage from the high ground? Leads away with a Gush. Blink, Earthspike catches out too. Onryu, he's got a Ravage for the Broodmother. Where's the follow-up damage? It comes in the form of the TA. One more Meld Strike and a couple of right clicks will get the kill. That's the first life of the Brood. There is a reincarnation. They want Gacha Boy a second time, and Earthspike is there to control him. The rest of OB.Neon didn't want to take the fight because of the reincarnation cooldown. I like that play. Last time, you know, they threw all those spells, killed Jackie once and not a second time, and then they didn't pressure. This time around, they take his reincarnation bottom, they get the kills, they defend their tower, and then they chase. They go for more, knowing that Motivate.Trust can't really fight all that effectively with this reincarnation down.
And that's such a massive set of kills coming out here for OB.Neon as well. Killing off Gacha Boy, one of the top network heroes, gives a big swing back towards the side of Neon, keeping this game relatively even. 4K lead comes out from Motivate.Trust still, but the momentum swing for Neon is giving them a lot more room to breed. They'll be able to find that bot tier 1, open up the map a bit more, and just try to keep that progression up for their TA, for their QoP to hit some item spikes. Heck, even Enryu still needs some time to build into the Yags, which is still a little bit off. Probably 700 gold off until he's got enough to really finish that up. So the timings are lining up for Neon as long as they can find some of these key pickoffs. Motivate.Trust has to be a bit careful throwing too many bodies forward, but they still have a lot of spikes left for Jackboys. Like, he doesn't show up in that last fight, but he is using that time well. He's just trying to rush the Ag Shard for the reincarnation to not have to worry about the mana drain on the Lion. And then straight into BKB. He just wants to keep fighting off the back of their strong push potential. And the Guardian Greaves for Gotcha Boy is already up. So more sustain in these team fights, more durability, makes it harder.
Garment. Not sure what the plan was there. Blinking in aggressively for an Earth Spike, and, well, he didn't have any backup. Man left alone as OB.Neon going to be just kind of playing it. I don't mind them playing it slow and not taking team fights. I don't think they want to be fighting without their big ultimates, the Ravage being the biggest of their ultimates. Tide in the bottom lane trying to defend this tier 2 tower. They'd love to keep all these tier 2s up, but with bottom lane dropping, that opens up the outpost here. Masa goes fishing, and luckily for Tide, he's an elusive little fella.
Manages to hide in the right spot. They still lose that tier 2 though, opening up the outpost here for Motivate.Trust to take, solidifying their control on the bot jungle with their brood, and they can just really drain out the side of the map. OB.Neon playing the right side of the map, opposite side of the river, getting what they can on Mamang Dai. Deso up and running, Blink's ready to go, just needs that BKB on the TA. Whether or not it's going to be enough is a different story, but that does take out a lot of the control on the side of Motivate.Trust, so it could be a big turning point for the side of Neon once Mamang Dai does show up with some spell muti here.
Looking to force things in the mid lane. Jackie's going to be a little bit careful. He's not the tankiest Wraith King. That first life can be taken pretty quickly just with like a gush and some meld strikes if he's not careful. And then that second life, if you don't have a BKB against things like Tide Ravage and Earth Spike, suddenly you can find yourself in a precarious position. And with OB.Neon smoking out, they're looking to make that play around this mid lane, but seems like Jackie is going to back off at the right time. Gets out of there. Going to farm up these Radiant Ancients. But here come OB.Neon. They want to take this fight. They see Jackie at the Ancients. They're going to lead with the Blink Earth Spike. Immediate Orchid onto the Lion. The Spiderling's going to look to finish him off, but has the Nightmare to help keep him alive a little bit longer. But the Mars Arena traps both supports in. Good Ravage from the side. The kisses are there. Jackie going to die. He gets brought down on the second life, so no Wraith King. They pay the price of the two supports, but if Mamang Dai can keep fighting and getting some kills, this could go okay for them. But with the Boom Bell Exorcism, there's just too much damage for Palace to handle. He has to kind of back off for a little bit. He's trying to turn and lifesteal through with the Shadow Strike heal. Is it going to be enough for him? Ryu on the front lines on the Tide. Tanky with the Hood Barrier. That keeps him alive for now, but Gotcha Boy's chasing. He's not going to be able to get the kills, and Mamang Dai, he wants that backline. Can't quite get the damage out. He's been silenced up now with the Orchid as well. Little Shredder lowering that armor. Now the Spear back. They've caught the TA. Great find for Motivate.Trust as they turn this fight, even though they lose the Wraith King, into a nice win for them.
Yeah, topsy-turvy start. I'm surprised Neon just forced that so long without the BKB on Mamang Dai. He definitely needed some protection in the second half of that fight. They did manage to get the right isolation there from Neon's end, taking care of Jackie's 2 lives. But it just cost a lot. They had to pop Ravage a bit earlier than they'd like to. They didn't manage to get the finger off. And the Sonic Wave had to be committed on just one here as well. It's so much to take care of one that you're kind of leaving the Brood Mother alone to do what you want. Sure, the Spiderlings are melting to the QoP's AoE damage, and the Tide and the TA's melt strikes as well. Jackboys though?
Oh boy, he just died. He just ran. The second he showed up on the map to farm, he was not expecting such a quick move to come his way from OB.Neon. That's a bit of a sloppy death from him, and OB.Neon are more than happy to take it.
Yeah, that's a pretty big mistake coming out from Jackboy. So that entire momentum they got from that last fight is kind of turning around. Wraith King is starting to lag behind in build-up. That opens up a bit of push onto the mid as well, as the side of Motivate.Trust are a bit scattered for the defense. No body to throw forward without the Wraith King. So the map opens up just a little bit more here for the side of Neon. They can start to plant some forward wards. They are caught out though.
Mars blinks in, catches several in the arena. Doesn't land a spear, though. The Cookie going to fall up and stun too. Tide without Ravage. Has to watch the Queen of Pain go down, and Omryu's just hoping he's got an escape plan. And with all the slows, the Spirit Siphons, and the Spiderlings coming in as well, they'll finish him off with Gacha Boy getting a double kill. And that sets up Motivate.Trust to take Roshan as soon as it respawns. It's coming up in 1 second's time, so Boombell will scout it out. Pop, it's there.
Yep. Great timing out from Motivate.Trust. Neon are aware of the stasis trap, but gets dewarded. So you're going to have to go in blind for that fight. They will have Ravage for that fight, but with no buyback, I don't think it's not going to take longer than 30 seconds to clear out Rosh. So it's going to fall really quick. First, second Aegis of the game with a free shard coming the way of Motivate.Trust. They could potentially have 3 lives in Jack Boys, and if they actually do that, he's probably not going to die. They do hand it off to Gacha Boy instead, securing the position of that Broodmother, and just ensuring that they can go further with this early timing. They are hitting with Gacha Boy. Neon, just getting what they can, keeping that bot lane shoved out, keeping the farm flowing here for Mamang Daya, going into the Daedalus next, so going all in the damage output of the TA. Once that's up, it's, again, going to be really easy to melt through these heroes. If we've seen the minus armor you are getting out with the Gush, and TA is a lot, so you can't underestimate Mamang Dai. Even in the game where they're behind, the TA is still going to have that spike. And, again, with the BKB up and running, you have to time your spell so well before that BKB use comes up.
Well, once again, Mars trying to punish some of these pushes. Doesn't get the TA before she backs off with the Blink Dagger. Gacha Boy with the Aegis just kind of charging in forward. Nice Earth Spike actually catches the Snapfire mid-cookie. Hugh has a Glimmer Cape to kind of help get him out of there as Mamang Daya can't really finish off this Snapfire. Instead, going to go in the Brood with the Aghanim's Gush. It's a lot of damage, and they killed the Brood once. Can they do it a second time? They've got Ravage waiting for the respawn, but he gets silence. Great silence from the high ground. Boombell. That's a long, long silence to deal with the poor Tidehunter. And Mamang Daya is suddenly realizing this is not the spot he wants to be. Even with his BKB, he's been forced back, and he gets caught in the arena with Jack Boys blinking in on top of him. A perfect defense. Boombell on the Death Prophet, the hero of this fight, hitting the silence right as he was about to Ravage. 4 dead, and Motivate.Trust charging forward.
And that's such a clutch save. That just bought enough time for Gacha Boy to work his way back to the top side, breaking vision, buying the time for everyone else to group in. Great forward blink as well for Moss to catch out the TA while they were focusing in on the Tide. That fight kind of split into 2 halves in that chase down the mid lane. And they find everything they need. They get the punishment onto the TA. They manage to make use of their Aegis in a big way. This opens up a bit of a push opportunity as well onto the high ground, working through the tier 2 mid first. But once they're onto the high, even without Exo, it doesn't take too long with the Spiderlings, with the Skeletons that could come out to really melt these objectives.
Bane poking a bit too far forward, gets reminded that, hey, you can't come near a Brood. As the tier 3 tower will be defended, takes about 1,000 damage. But with TA respawning, Motivate.Trust decide to reset a little bit. Maybe, you know, they've got some items coming out. Nice little gold infusion from that last fight. So they're looking to kind of slow things down. They are just 1 game away from guaranteeing that they remain in Division 1. And uh-oh, Brood, perhaps a bit of a lapse there. Doesn't respect the catch of this Lion. Narman has been on point with these blink initiations, constantly willing to just jump in and find these pickoffs for the team.
It's just been on point every single time that line comes out. Motivate.Trust, though, after that, just smoke back in.
Yep, right back in. They find the Bane. That's a quick and easy kill for them with this double damage on Wraith King. They want to keep fighting. Omryu on the front lines trying to lower that damage a bit with the Anchor Smash, and they find a new, better target in the Mars. They're actually cleaning them up here, 1 by 1. Boombell, can they... Oh, they've got nothing to counter the TP. That could have been another kill, but instead it's going to be the Wraith King being chased down. Has a blink TP out, so OB.Neon not going to quite get what they were... I mean, they got 3. They were happy. They would have loved to have gotten those last couple of kills, but they're smoked up, so instantly looking for more.
Really big opening. They've got the forward ward on the triangle area as well. They see the couriers. Could go for a nice snipe, but they're going to play it safe. Just back off.
Not a bad idea. Instead, oh yeah.
Jackie?
They go for the Fiend Script on the Wraith King. He just walks into them. Brood going to respawn. Can they take this fight? He's got the BKB. He's just going to blink in and look to go on the Bane to take this fight, but once his BKB wears off, he's got to be careful because the Ravage is still there. Omryu has that Ravage, doesn't quite catch Jackie on the edge of it. Instead, it's going to be Gacha Boy who has to retreat back to the high ground. The Guardian Greaves giving him that nice aura, keeping him alive, and now the TA's been stunned up by Jackie. He's re-engaged. No reincarnation, no problem. They've killed off 3. They lost the Brood in the end here, but on Ryu, getting bombed in by the Mortimers, and Jackie looking to chase him down. Needs to find a way to blink out, but won't get it. 4 dead. Unfortunately for OB.Neon, it was a bold move, and it feels like they're in a position where they need to make these kind of bold, risky plays. It just doesn't pay off there.
And it becomes a massive win for Motivate.Trust instead. Even though you lose Gacha Boy, it took so much effort to catch him out. Like, just getting that movement onto the high ground, breaking vision once more. There was an obs for it to see him, but they didn't have range, and that just broke up the fight in a big way, giving them this opportunity to push mid. Now, you don't have the Broodlings up, you don't have Exo up, you still have those Skeletons and Jack Boys. The objective still doesn't stand for too long, and without the respawns, without the Ravage, without the threat of that AoE control, there's not much defense OB.Neon can really put out, and that leads Jack Boys to just go for another. Just go for 2 sets of racks, can't go for the Megas. Tier 2 still stands top. This gives him a big advantage here.
Palos is just charging in. He wants to hunt some of these supports, has a Sonic Wave, and with Naaman helping him out with the Finger of Death, they've killed both these supports. Bane doesn't have anything to control Jack Boys with, though. The Fiend's Grip was still on cooldown, so perhaps we're going to see OB.Neon look to just keep on hunting, but no heroes to go for, as the rest of Motivate.Trust managed to get out unscathed, but they don't get that second lane of rack, so just the mid lane in the end. It's still a good advantage for Motivate.Trust, but I feel like for OB.Neon, just losing 1 lane of racks and getting those kills for Queen of Pain, they got to feel like there's at least some small glimmer of hope.
Now, they're not completely out yet. They still have some good high ground fights, especially if Ravage is up. So they can force the defense really well. They can still take fights outside their base. They've got damage coming in through Mamangaya, and even the magic damage coming through from Palos is substantial. Has the Shiva's Guard now as well. So those Broodlings really will just melt. But it does feel like the emphasis is swinging for Motivate.Trust. It's not all about Gacha Boy now. It's turning into the Jack Boys show. Has the full Silver Edge up on Wraith King. His damage output's through the roof. He's got the max level reincarnation. 60-second cooldown means much more fights coming out from the Wraith King as well. He's going to be much more willing to just join in these fights earlier, and reset time isn't as long. And probably the next big scuffle is going to be over that Roshan. They've got the trap set up on Neon's end. Still a minute and a half until we see when that respawn time is going to be. But whoever does take that next Roche fight probably gets to dictate the rest of the game. Start to really rip through the map and turn things their way.
Oh, yeah. And both teams just trying to get every morsel of farm they can to get that next big item before that Roche fight happens. Like, buybacks are nice, but this TA would love to finish a Daedalus. Tide would love to hit his level 20 as well. Getting that extra -4 Gush armor with the Aghanim Scepter would make a big difference for their damage output from -6 to -10. But they've got to somehow find a way to get there first. Easier said than done there. Just posturing around their Ancients, perhaps expecting Motivate.Trust to make some kind of an aggressive move. It's still at least 30 seconds before that potential Roshan. Norman and Ryu doing some spider cleaning.
Just whacking out the babies.
Here they come.
Motivate.Trust will smoke up, though. They know where Neon's standing, so they've got a good angle if they can just find an opening here.
Yeah, not the best vision, though, for this one. They are trying to use those spiderlings maybe to scout. Pop showing himself in the front lanes. It's Boombell. Nice blink arena. Norman being on the front lines, being the one who gets caught out, and that's a dead lion. Has got buyback if they want to try and turn and fight for this one. Palace has already used the Sonic Wave, though, so that's one less ultimate to play around. Blink, Ravage, catches out 4. This is a potentially great fight for them. The Gush going on 3 as well. The Earthspike, Naaman with the buyback. He's stunned up. Multiple, the Finger of Death getting the Brood low with the Fiend's Grip. They finish him off, and that's 4 dead. Reincarnate means the Wraith King will come back to life, and Jack Boys has the BKB TP. Can they burst him down? It's going to be close. He gets out just barely. Oh, that was it. Very, very close to being a team wipe.
That's massive.
And Roshan is
great
back.
buybacks out.
Oh, it was a fast Roche
well.
respawn.
It's not going to take long to melt as well with Mamangai's damage output with the Daedalus up. So they get to clean up, take that Aegis, take the cheese, take the refresh, potentially double Ravage, or just having Ravage up earlier is going to be huge. And Motivate.Trust, it looked like a good fight. The buybacks turned that around. They had the access points there on Neon's end to take that fight, and their lead kind of goes down. It's just a 3K lead, 24-30, a very close game still. You are still 1 racks down on Neon's end, but they again, it doesn't take long for them to rip through the objectives with the damage up now on Mamang Dias. They can go for the mid. They can look to go onto the high ground. And the defense here for Motivate.Trust isn't amazing. They're going to need a good arena to come out from Masa. And if they can do that, they can line up for the kisses, but they've got to find that angle. Respawns are short, though. Not too far off, so I don't think Neon can really force the issue here. Just find what they can, retake some jungle space, take an outpost or two, and kind of keep recuperating this way. Because Motivate.Trust, it feels like they've got an issue where they're trying to get everything onto Jack Boys now, but you still need Gotcha.Boy to be able to stand and fight. He doesn't have a BKB. His only defensive item is still just that Guardian Greaves, and he just gets focused down. Like the moment you take out that pesky spider, you're lacking a lot of defensive plays. Silken Bola mischance is still big. The damage output she has with her right click with Insatiable Hunger is still huge. And she has the Hex that she needs to use to take control. Gotcha.Boy dying is actually such a big deal. And he's not going for a BKB anytime soon. It looks like he is going for the Halberd first, which is great against the TA, but it does feel like something defensive has to come out here.
Yeah, totally agree. Playing without BKB into Tide Lion, like, this is, to me, what's swinging these fights back the way of OB.Neon is just this teamfight control. Like, they're able just to utilize this Ravage and these Earth Spikes to keep everyone in place, and that we're just seeing so much more value coming out from the OB.Neon supports compared to Motivate.Trust, where, like, it's not like the Snapfire is playing badly or the Death Prophet, but they're just not offering the same in these fights. And this next fight now, the reset has allowed OB.Neon to have double Ravage, not having to use that Refresher Shard. They're going to have their next couple of big items back up. Mamang Dia also needed to just get some mana, so we're going to see level 25 TA. They're ready to fight. Wow. Death Prophet almost just gets one shot there. They've lost the Tidehunter to start things off. Great find onto Onryu. Utilizing that Silver Edge initiation, catching the Tide by surprise and bursting him down. They lost the Death Prophet on their own side, but without the Tide, the double Ravage, perhaps this is an opening for Motivate.Trust to press forward. Again, X onto the line, but Gotcha.Boy, he's been going on Palos. He wants this kill, but it's a level 25 Queen of Pain, so blinking away with that 3-second cooldown on Blink on the backlines. Not the best spot for the Queen of Pain to be in, but gets out with that Lincoln Sphere. Gotcha.Boy needs to gotcha his way back into some trees and get the hell out of there. Jack Boys is low on the Wraith King, but he's found himself a nice juicy target. The Lion, that's a dieback. He pulled back in that previous fight. Now the TA could be in some trouble as well. Has a BKB if he wants to pop it, as Queen of Pain goes blinking in, looking for these supports. Mamang Dia and Palos, they're alone. They're 2 versus 4. They've got no backup, but they're looking to hold their ground and fight. The Hex coming out once more. Gotcha.Boy fearless, finds Mamang Dia, sets up the Wraith King for a huge crit. And it's all up to TA to try find a way out of this one, but the Spear is there waiting for him, and OB.Neon just chased way too far. They did all of that without the Tidehunter. I can't believe they tried to force a fight, and it really just backfires horribly.
Just huge punishment out from Motivate.Trust. They see that window, they know where to Tide down. There's no way they have enough control, and the focus for Motivate.Trust was really good. They focused on the supports. Jackie was chasing Narman, he was chasing down the Bane, despite the Chorus being in much more forward position. He took care of that backline, preventing the Earth Spikes, preventing the Hex and Grips, and without that control, the fight just went a different way for the side of Motivate.
Well, now Tide's back, but he's looking around like, you know, where are my teammates? I need the follow-up from an Earth Spike. I need the TA's damage output. Like, this Gush hitting everyone isn't all that useful when there's no TA alive. They do have a buyback here, but it looks like they're going to prioritize saving those buybacks and just giving up a second lane of Rack. So Motivate.Trust going to be feeling like this puts them in a pretty good position to take game number 2. It's not over just yet. Blinking with the Scatterblast stun, the Cookie follow-up, the Spear into the arena, but there's the first Ravage from Onryu. He's got to refresh if he wants to go for a second one. He pops it, catches out all 5. The Fiend's Grip onto the Wraith King here. They're locking them down perfectly with the TA buyback. They are just cleaning them up. The full duration Fiend's Grip onto Jack Boys takes out his second life. And now they want more. They want Gotcha.Boy. He's going for that TP out. If they got anything to cancel, it doesn't look like it. So nice move from him with the Ghost Scepter TP. And once again, these TPs, Q Snapfire does the same thing. It could have been a team wipe, but they just didn't have the TP cancels.
Close call from Motivate.Trust, but they still find the objectives they wanted. They find a bot set of racks. They really couldn't go for mega creeps because the top tier 2 stand, so that's about as much as they could hope for. Great timings out from Neon to kind of find some punishment, but that cost him the buyback. On the T, I don't know if that's really worthwhile. I don't think so. It just feels like such a big commitment for a Rax that already fell, and for a tier 4 that was still relatively protected with just the Tide around. So with that, I think Motivate has a little bit more to play. They are getting dived, though.
This is bold. They're doing this without some of these important buybacks. You mentioned the TA buyback. If they overcommit here, they may be punished because Motivate.Trust themselves can start committing some of these buybacks. The Queen of Pain gets the blink out, a bit low in health and mana. Does have a cheese to play around, but no Ravagers. And you got to imagine OB.Neon, they got to get the hell out of here. Tide's been hexed up, but no follow-up. So at this point, without TA buyback, without Ravage, there's just no way in hell OB.Neon can take a fight. But the good news is they forced buybacks. Wraith King used his, as did Massa on the Mars. So 2 key buybacks being committed. And OB.Neon suddenly, you know, they're still in this game. They're finding themselves in a position where there is a win condition for them.
Yeah, they're not too far behind in net worth because of those buybacks. They've been keeping up really well the entire game here, Parker. And the next big fight is likely going to be around Roche. Again, it's only about a minute 40 off. Kind of the same situation last time. We'll just see if it's going to be a quick respawn as it was last time as well. For the side of Motivate.Trust, I don't think they mind a buyback on Jackboys all too much. He's pretty protected with Reincarnation. At least he has a second life to play with to pop his BKB to look for an angle out. You don't have that kind of protection on the TA if you are in a bad spot. And it was a good forced use of the buyback, though. Like that deep dive, just to get something in exchange for the TA buyback is really helpful. But Motivate.Trust kind of sense an opportunity. They are smoked up Ravage, only 7 seconds away. So if Enryu finds a good angle once more, that could turn the fight if the Tide does manage to use his big spells at the right time.
And building into that Lotus Orb. So you can't just drop a Death Prophet Silence on this Tide and ignore him for that 6-second duration. He's got a way to purge off Silence now, which is going to make his game a little bit easier in these team fights, because that's where we saw a few fights go amiss for him. So we'll see both teams posturing around this Roshan pit. Good vision for now for Motivate.Trust, getting that cliff ward on that Radiant side, but that's something you got to imagine OB.Neon are going to want to address. If they want to contest Roshan, they need to find a way to control the vision around the pit. TA traps is one good way to do it, and then you've got Spiderlings on the dire side, so both teams with good ways to get that scouting information.
Yeah, just keeping the info game up. It's really just down to making sure Roche doesn't go for free from either side, so both sides have a way of at least maintaining some form of vision control in the area. Let's see if it's a quick one. Again, last time it was near instant. 20 seconds. It's another fast one, Parker. So this could be the make or break fight. I think Neon does have a lot of AoE control. As you mentioned, with the protection on Enryu, it's going to be really easy, or easier for him to get a good Ravage off. I think that might throw Motivate.Trust in a bad loop. And if they do die on that Mars, on the Wraith King, their high ground really opens up. There's no threat at all from just a Brood Mother. She's really easy to manage without that BKB. So you have to weigh the risk here on Motivate.Trust. They will spot the Roche, take care of the trap, but they're not going to fully commit for it. D-Ward was taken by Neon on that cliff area, so they can kind of just play poke and prod from afar, ensuring that Roche is at least constantly checked.
They're going to commit the Exorcism. They want to go for this now. TA traps will scat it out. They've got to go quickly, though. They need to get in there. Blink, Earthspike from Narman in the trees. Gets hexed and silenced up afterwards. There's the Ravage coming in from Onryu. He's caught 3 with it. The Fallout Sonic Wave is there, but Queen of Pain gets stunned up in the pit. Nice Lotus Orb BKB keeps him alive as Boom Bell tries to go Scepter, but the Nullifier from Mamandaya makes sure they take out the Death Prophet, who does buy back, but with Wraith King dying once, they want to take this fight, but Onryu caught inside the arena. Can't get out of this one for now, but he's just throwing out Gushers, doing what damage he can. Still has a Lotus Orb if he wants to use it, and they've killed the Wraith King a second time. The damage, Palos, Blink, Scream with the shard, silencing them all up, and the Nullifier once again, it's a dieback. They're getting closer and closer to taking that back this game, forcing a game 3. They've killed 3, all of them dead for 2 minutes, and that's Roshan for OB.Neon, and they may just go high ground. None of these heroes have buyback. What a huge fight from them.
Now that was big. And Motivate.Trust, it looked like they had a pretty good angle back in after the Ravage wasn't really lined up. They were very split in that fight, but they didn't manage to find a good angle. And I think the big issue there was the cook he used on Jackboys. He was inside arena while the TA was slightly outside. he got cookied out, so he wasn't protected by Arena anymore, at the very least, I think, in that situation. So he was just getting ripped apart by Mamangdai's damage, and it just cost them. Like, they don't have the buybacks. There's a minute, 10 seconds where they're very vulnerable. Split Push was trying to come out from Q, forcing response
It's
back.
working.
Yeah, they did cut off the
There's
creep
no
wave.
creeps. Unfortunately,
So
there's
no
there's
push.
siege wagons. Yeah. Well, they keep a melee creep alive, but the siege wagons are a lot harder for the Snapfire to deal with. He can't just nuke those ones down. Norman's even force-stopping creeps just to help them along. Like, go, we need creeps. This is our moment. We can, we can get these tier 4s. We can get the throne. They know these heroes don't have buyback, and they want to. I'm surprised if they're even going to go for the racks here. I think they're going straight for the tier 4, straight for the GG. Yep, they get the tier 3. Now tier 4s are open and available. They get the Blink Hexes. No BKB Brood is, well, feeling like he made a big no-no with that one. Does have the buyback. He's buying some time as the Fiend Scripts comes into play. That's onto the Brood. Full duration not being dealt with here, but elsewhere, it's Mamangdai just going for the tier 4 towers, going for the throne. They're going for the GG. Still 15 seconds without Wraith King. They commit the glyph now. Do they have enough time to still get this throne? Mamangdai is getting kind of low here, but he's got the Aegis to play around. He's going to throw away his first life if he has to. They're focusing the throne now. Can they finish one off? 3 seconds until Wraith King is back. It's going to be close, but they're dropping like flies on the Motivate.Trust side. They haven't killed anybody just yet. Mamangdai still has an Aegis to play around, and they've lost 2. They've lost both supports, and it seems like OB.Neon can just go for these kills if they want to. Can they get the throne? They're going to get the Ravage that keeps the TA alive. Mamangdai, he's been bailed out for now. Can they get more? There's a second Ravage with the Refresher Shard! And with that, Massa goes down, and OB.Neon, they're going to take Game 2. They're going to force a Game 3. The potential for them to stay in Division 1 is still there. I don't know how they turned this game around, John, but somehow they've done it.
What a back and forth game. It looked like Neon was on the ropes this time around. Motivate.Trust managing to get that early start they wanted with a Broodmother. And, they had this insane draft of push. Exorcism from their DP support, Wraith King with the Skeletons, Gotcha Boy with his Broodmother working that mid lane. But just a couple of key fights, just a couple of small mistakes come out. You can see how happy Neon is. You can see how energized everyone is. Everyone's going to need energy for that Game 3, Gods, because that was quite the ride.
I know, you and me both. We've got the Mate's ready. We're going the distance. And when it comes down to these last series of, this is the last series of the league regular matches before tiebreakers for Division 1. I love it, John. It's time. Mate time. And OB.Neon, for them, it's celebration time. They've got a Game 3. They're still alive. They're not relegated yet. It's a little too soon to fully celebrate, but Game 3 is coming up. Stay tuned, guys. We're going to go back to the panel after a quick break. You don't want to miss it.